Today's video is about coping with stress. So stress is something that is a normal part of life. There's no avoiding it. We will experience it. It is something that every person will experience some forms of stress in some parts of their life. It becomes problematic, however, when stress is frequent and it's intense and it doesn't go away. This is where it can impact the quality of life of a person. There are different sources of stress, different stresses. So some sources of stress can be relationships. So it could be the relationship with your parents, the relationship with your children, the relationship with your spouse, your marriage. It could be relationships with your siblings, with friends, and so forth. So relationships are actually quite, significant. Especially the research does show marriages that a unsatisfying marriage or a dissatisfying marriage can really impact your health, your physical health, due to the stress. So there were some studies done with the longevity of people who were married or happily married, and those that weren't. Those that were happily married lived longer. I can't remember the exact figures. I can put it in the comment section if you'd like later, if anyone likes to ask for those figures for the research. So those who lived in a more satisfying marriage lived longer, and the reasons for this was because when you are satisfied, there's less stress in your life, and when there's less stress in your life, your immune system works and functions better. Whereas when there's stress in your life, and if it's coming from your marriage, and marriage is usually a thing that you can't just sort of escape if you are. I mean, you can with divorce, but it's not that easy, right? So when you're in a stressful marriage, a dysfunctional marriage, you're facing it 24/7 most of the time, then therefore the stress levels are more frequent, which in turn your body will release this chemical, this hormone called cortisol, which pretty much induces the stress and therefore weakening your immune system. So in the long run, the more this stress is there and the more you are unhappy in your marriage, the weaker your immune system becomes. The white and red blood cell ratio changes as well, and your organs can fail in the long run, and also it can cause erectile dysfunction as well in the long run. Stress. So many illnesses and diseases can come from stress, which can ultimately lead to death, and some studies even showed cancer. So we all focus on the physical part of health, which is very important. We hear everyone saying go to the gym and exercise, which is, I agree, it's very, very important. But we hardly hear people say work on your marriages, work on your relationships, because the studies show that you can also live longer. I can't remember the exact research as well, but working on your marriage, if you just put 20 minutes or half an hour a day working on your marriage, it's better than going to the gym for a few hours a day, according to the longevity and all that type of stuff. So relationships is can be one source of stress, and probably the biggest one. Okay. Other sources of stress could be work-related issues, financial-related issues, study demands for those in university, coping with illnesses, life changes, such as retirement or divorce can cause stress. Day-to-day activities and tasks can cause stress. Even positive events can cause stress. So if you're going on a holiday, for example, which is considered to be positive, planning that holiday can be quite stressful, and overwhelming. So stress is not just, war, or it's not just major things. It's also the small day-to-day things as well. And just being able to juggle tasks and errands and things like that, roles, responsibilities, all at once. So if you've got too much on your plate, you're doing too much, you have too much tasks, definitely that would bring stress. So some people are aware of what triggers them. Some people are aware of what their stresses are, but some people are not. And you see some people who will just take on tasks and live life in a like an autopilot mode, not knowing how to say no, not knowing how to trim responsibilities away from their life, not knowing what the sources of their their stress is, or not doing something different in order to get a different result. Okay, so what are the symptoms of stress? There's a few. They show up differently in different people, but interrupted sleep is one. So going to sleep and waking up a few times in the night, that's a sign of stress. Okay, and that can also affect your productivity during the day. Another sign of stress is being irritated and very moody. So if something makes you irritated straight away, you become irritable. That's not sort of matching the situation. Moodiness, so you can go from 0 to 100, in a split second. People on the outside might not see what's underneath the tip of the iceberg, right? So they just see you snap. So this snapping is a sign of stress. Okay, you can't put any more stress or responsibilities on top of the current stress that you have. So one little thing can just really pop you off. Excessive worrying and feelings of anxiety. This is a sign of stress. It's your body telling you, sending messages to you that something is wrong, something needs to change. I am under stress. So it can come up with feeling anxious and worrying a lot as well. Also, back and neck pain is a sign of stress. So if you feel that your neck and your back is quite sore, usually that's where all the stress can be stored up in this area here. So this is a sign of stress, so it's probably good to get massages frequently. An upset stomach, frequent headaches, migraines, your increased blood pressure, these are all signs of stress. Changes in your appetite, chest pains, having flus and illnesses for a longer period of time. These are all signs of stress, and they all reduce the quality of life that people have. So if you do have any of these symptoms, it's important that you pay attention, speak to your GP, speak to a psychologist, speak to a counselor, someone who can help you cope with your stress. I'm going to share with you a few stress management tips right now. These aren't universal and they're not absolute, so there are more, but these are just basic ones that you can start off with. So the first one is to identify your stresses. You can't manage the stress, or you can't cope with it if you don't know how to identify it. So the first way to identify it is to try to identify where that source of pain is coming from, or where that source of stress is coming from. Then what you can do is try to identify what areas of that stress can you manage, and what areas of that stress you cannot manage, which is outside of your area of control. There's one thing that you can do here as a quick, simple exercise. You can get a piece of paper and just draw one inner circle, and one outer circle. In the inner circle, you can just write things that are within my control, and on the outer circle you can write things that are outside of my control. And in there you can see, once you write things in there, you can really see things clearer. You can put things into perspective. So things you can control, the way you treat other people, you can control that. You can control your behavior. You can control, what time, how much time you spend on doing such and such. But what you can't control is how people treat you, what people think of you, how people feel about you. Obviously, I'm not saying that you just be reckless, but if you did all that you could, at the end of the day, we don't. That's an area of that's outside of our control. So once you've identified things that are in your control and things that are outside of your control, it puts things into perspective, and it can really help you come to a solution. So just for example, if you work at a job that is based on, let's say, deadlines, okay, you can't change that unless you change your job. But what you can change is your attitude towards it, or you can change, some aspects, like for example, taking some breaks throughout the day at work. If your job is demanding, taking a few more shorter breaks, sleeping early before work, so that way you can wake up with energy and cope with the daytime stresses. So there's some things that you can really control and some things that you cannot control. Most of the time we worry about things, or we stress about things that are outside of our control. Tip number 2 to manage stress is to exercise regularly. So we know moving your body, stretching, getting physiotherapy, seeing your chiropractor, getting massages and exercising, anything got to do with fitness and your body. This helps reduce stress. Okay, so you don't have to go to the gym and straight away. Like if you're going from nothing, you don't have to jump and straight into the gym and become a bodybuilder or get a gym membership, because we know what happens with gym memberships, right? That is, you sign up, you go once and twice, and then you don't go anymore. So start small. Walk for 10 minutes. So just set your timer and tell yourself, whatever I do within this 10 minutes is considered exercise. Okay, and just walk up and down your street in front of your house. Maybe power walk a little bit, and then just do that a few times a week, and then you can increase to like 20 minutes and then 30 minutes. It's recommended to do about 20 to 30 minutes each time, 4 to 5 days a week. So start small, and then you can build yourself up. The next tip is to eat well. So we have the best advice from our Prophet, peace be upon him. He taught us the three, what's that word called? The 3 ratio advice, right? Or method. So he said, if you must eat, I'll start again. He said that a few bites or few morsels is enough to keep the son of Adam's back straight, right? And I mean, this is a tip I even struggle with. But he said, if you must eat, if you need to eat more than that, all right, he said, then 3 portions. Your stomach is like a vessel. Fill it up with 3 portions. The first portion is food. The second portion is fluids and water. And the third portion is air. If we follow this advice, that is the best eating well advice we can get, along with fasting, as most of us are fasting now in Ramadan. This is also a good diet, advice. The next tip is to sleep well. So try to associate your bedroom. Let your brain associate your bedroom and your bed with sleep. So don't use your bedroom to, go on your laptop every night, play on your phone every night, to unwind every night. Your bed should not be for that. What can happen is your brain can then associate the bed with not sleeping, with staying up and checking emails and stuff. So try to unwind. So the best, or the quickest advice for that would be, give yourself a time. So if you say, okay, I'm going to be in bed at 10 p.m. for example, then at 9 p.m. you'll start your nighttime rituals. Okay, and this then associates, your brain then associates those rituals with preparing to go to sleep. So it could be, a cup of tea, reading a book, just sitting down relaxing. It could even be some TV. But don't, in this unwinding time, don't be doing tasks, don't be doing work. So don't be checking emails and replying to comments on Facebook and doing, checking your schedule and doing, tasks and then going straight to bed, because that's not the aim of that. It's hard to switch off, right? From going from work and then you go straight to bed, your eyes are going to be open all night. You're going to be thinking, did I send this email? Did I reply to that person? Did I do this? Did I do that? 1 hour before you go to bed, switch off all devices, read a book, cup of tea, sit with your loved one, and just sit there calmly. You don't even have to talk. And then at 10 o'clock, for example, go to bed, and don't play with your devices. This helps you go to sleep. If you can't go to sleep, so let's say you go to bed and you feel that you have insomnia, you're struggling to go to sleep, the advice is to get up and go back out of your room, carry on with whatever it is that you want to do, something that relaxes you, and don't go back to bed until you start to feel sleepy. Okay, so that way your bed is associated with sleepiness. The next tip is take time out for yourself. So we're all busy, we're all serving our bosses, serving our spouses, serving our children, serving our parents. We're all we're all busy and try to serve everyone, but we're neglecting ourselves. So don't forget to serve yourself. Take time out for yourself. Take time out with your family, take time out with your spouse, your children, but also don't forget to take time out with yourself and only for yourself. So do something that you like, maybe a hobby. Set aside a day in the week, even if it's a couple of hours, and just do something that you like, that brings you joy. This helps with stress, because when you're giving, and you're not filling your own cup up, so to speak, then you will burn out. It's like the candle that's giving light. It's going to burn itself out, right? So make sure that you are filling your own cup up as well. The next tip for problem solving, coping with stress, is problem solving, right? Learn how to communicate, learn how to problem solve, learn better skills to manage conflict, learn how to be assertive, learn how to say no. These help with stress. Why? Because if you don't know how to say no and you don't know how to be assertive, you're passive, for example, then that can cause stress, because you're taking on more than you can chew, more than you can bite, whatever the saying goes. You don't know how to say no, so that you're going to take on more tasks, and then you might not meet those deadlines, or those complete those tasks, and then that's going to cause you stress. And with time, there's only 24 hours in a day, right? If you're putting time into a task that you don't want to do, then it's taken away from time from something else that you could have done, right? That time you can't get back, it's gone. So learn problem solving skills, learn how to be assertive, how to say no assertively, how to manage conflict, how to deal with your emotions, how to deal with your thinking, how to deal with the people around you, like interpersonal skills. This can really, really, really help with stress. A lot of people who don't know how to communicate well, they suffer from a lot of stress, because most of the times it comes out as anger, right? And that anger causes stress. The other tip, or the next tip, is to learn calming techniques. Learn how to regulate your emotions. Learn how to self-soothe. So try to pay attention to your body. Your body's always giving you signals and messages, telling you what to do, and it's up to you whether you pay attention or not. So try to pay attention when you are emotionally flooded. If your heart rate is increasing while you're talking to someone, while you're communicating, and learn how to soothe yourself. So the quick tip for that is to, if you find yourself emotionally flooded or stressed when you're in a confrontation, is to take a 20 to 30 minute break. In that 30-minute break, you need to distract yourself. You can't be thinking of the problem. You need to be breathing to get your heart rate, reduce your heart rate back down to anything below 100 beats per minute. And you need to be not thinking of the problem, okay? This is a very simple but effective way to self-soothe, and not to go back to the conflict unless you are calm. Because speaking when you are emotionally flooded, we are in a state of fight and flight mode. We are tunnel visioned in our thinking. We become very selfish, very self-centered, and we might say something, actually we will say something that will hurt the other person. So you're doing this for the sake of the relationship, for the sake of whoever the other person may be, whether it's at work or your marriage or your child or whatever. Learn calming techniques. Do things that can calm you. Breathing. Some people like progressive muscle relaxation techniques. Some people like to do certain things that calms them. Walking barefoot in the grass or whatever. These are some tips that can help you. The last tip is to pay attention to if you have any negative core beliefs about yourself. So this is a good way to, because this can cause stress, right? Negative core beliefs are beliefs that you've developed over time due to past experiences, negative past experiences, and interactions and relationships, where you've developed this deep-seated belief about yourself, which then has assumptions. So, for example, if in childhood or in school you were bullied, or your parents repeatedly put you down and told you, you can't do that, or you are stupid, you shouldn't be doing this, or criticizing you, putting down constantly, frequently, this person may grow up to believe that they're stupid, or that they're not good enough, or that they're not smart enough, or they can't do this, and then that has assumptions and beliefs, which means what's the point, or why should I do this when everyone's going to leave me, or I'm going to fail anyway. These cause stress. Okay, obviously this is difficult to do on your own. You might need the help of a counselor or a therapist, but what you can do is journal. Maybe at the end of the day, journal how you feel, journal interactions, and look for patterns, look for cycles, and look for that self-talk. Try to journal that self-talk and try to look for patterns there. If you can tackle these negative core beliefs and this negative thinking, obviously that would bring about some overall better emotions and overall better quality of life. So I tried to keep it as quick as possible. I know I've hit about 20 minutes now. I hope you found this video to be useful. Please comment in the comment section, send me your feedback, and I will see you next time. Thank you.